Hey, Mike with Mike's Bags. Today I'm reviewing the 11 by Gnarly Bags. Let's go and dive in, break these bags down. These bags have a hybrid material for the slow side. It is the same slow side material you find on the Viper R, Elite Pro Snipers, Reynolds Thunder, AAR Ripper, Swagbags Chaos, the Killer Bees Armide, the Power Dragons from Dragon Bags. It's probably one of the more popular hybrid materials out there right now. It's very player friendly. It's very versatile. It's a 5.5 speed slow side, brand new. It plays quicker, plays like a 6.5. As you break it in, wear it down, it softens up, kind of fuzzes up, it starts to slow down and settles in that 5.5 speed range. It's a very consistent material as far as different conditions. So if you live in an area where humidity is an issue or weather conditions change, playing conditions change, the beauty of these hybrid materials is they play pretty consistent through all weather conditions, so you don't have to keep changing bags or changing your throw. You can pretty much play the same style of game no matter how the conditions change. So 5.5 speed on the slow side. Fast side, this is that same fast side material you find on the BG Sorcerer, Shapeshifter Samurai, the Swagbags Bazooka, Black Sheep Sentence. It is not my favorite material. I don't typically like this material because it's a texture thing for me, right? It has a weird feel to it. As it breaks in, the more it breaks in, the softer it gets, the better it feels. The other reason I don't like it is it's a very fragile material. This material stretches and pulls. If you've thrown any of the BG bags, and you throw over any period of time, or go check out somebody's old set of BG Sorcerers, you're gonna see the seams are stretching. You'll see white showing through the seams. It's just the material stretching. It's a very fragile material. Now, Gnarly has reinforced it with some sort of liner or backing and something in there that they've actually reinforced it to reduce that stretching. What that does, though, is it also makes the material a little bit thicker. So this is a thicker material. So when you get these bags new, give them time. You've got to break them in. Brand new, even when I got them, so they were partially broken, I didn't like the way they felt. I really wasn't sure I was going to like this bag. But I try to take my personal biases out as much as I can when I do reviews. And I went in and threw them all out. And the more this bag broke in, the more this material fast side broke in, the better it felt. And honestly, after I got them fully broken, and they're not fully broken now, but they're at a point now where I can say I don't dislike this material as much as I thought I would. So it's about a 9.5 speed material on this fast side here. It plays quicker than that Pro Sniper Deadhead material. So, it's a fast material. It's great for pushing, collecting, blowing up messes, cleaning up boards, whatever. So you're looking at about 5.5, 9.5 speeds, I'm going to call this. 5 to 5.5 slow, 9.5 on the fast side on this. Template-wise, it's a medium template bag. It has a medium amount of fill, so you've got flop in here. I wouldn't call it super floppy, but it's not full by no means. There's a decent amount of flop. And this bag's probably more on the floppy side than the full side. But I do like, it's kind of that medium, kind of just right sweet spot there. So it gives the bag a really nice hand feel. You can grip it, lock it down, but with the flop, it gives you that forgiveness on the landing and forgiveness around the hole. The fill in here it's a mixed fill, I think, but it's mostly a mixture of flat fills. I didn't really feel any beads in here. If there are beads, they're not many. I think it's mostly a flat fill, which makes this bag a very forgiving bag in the landing. So if you don't throw a flat bag, this bag has little to no kick to it. With the flop that it has and that flat fill in here, the bag lands softly, flattens out, and runs straight up the board pretty well. I mean, so again, if you've been wanting to throw in hybrid material but you don't have a flat bag, these 11s might be a great option for you. The flop also gives the bag that forgiveness around the hole, where if you get that bag up just the corner to grab the hole, it's going to grab it and spin around. With enough speed, it'll drop in. Now, I will say flat fill is not my favorite fill in bags because I do find it tends to want to hang on the hole. It's not as hole friendly. And if I were to change one thing about the bag, it would probably be the fill. I would love to see a little more beads, a little more of a mixture. But when you add the beads in, you're going to add more bounce and more movement in the bag, which means it becomes less forgiving in the landing. So that's the trade-off you get, right? If you get a softer, more forgiving landing bag, you're going to give up some of that hole friendliness. And again, as always, I'm nitpicking here. This is a very hole-friendly bag. You'll see bags in these videos of bags tripped in the hole. But I am nitpicking compared to other bags that have more of a bead fill in them with this low side material. This isn't as hole-friendly as those are. This is a hole-friendly material, especially for a bag with this much control. It is hole-friendly, so just keep that in mind. But around the hole, that was probably my biggest issue throwing this bag. Of all the things I had, the issue was I felt like there were more bags that hung on the hole that shouldn't have. Not a hard bag to collect. You can definitely collect. If the bags are hanging, you can still go get them as long as you have another bag left. But just keep that in mind. These bags are ACL stamped. They have the ACL Pro stamp for 2024. So you play in ACL events, you can throw the 11s. Let's go ahead and dive in. Talk about playability here, and this is as I mentioned, it's a very versatile bag. You can throw blockers with it. You've got the control on this side to slow it down and play a dirty style game. Probably not the best bag for that because you have some control, but it's not super sticky, so it doesn't it doesn't really cause a lot of bags to kick off. It's not a hard bag to push through, right? Typically, when you get these slower, stickier materials that go up there, they become hard to to push through. So if you get an opponent who's not used to pushing through, they can kick off. This is not like that, but it does a great job visually putting a blocker up there, especially an opponent who's not used to that. They may try to do something different they're not comfortable with, and it could cause them to miss, and you can collect and score points on that. But if you do throw a blocker, they're pretty collectible. Like, even though they got flopped, they don't according up too much. I didn't have a lot of issues collecting them. Now, if I tried to come across with a cut or something, if I threw a bag too far over on my opponent's side and I tried to cut to grab it, I did have a hard time cutting and pulling it back in. It seemed like these bags, because they're forgiving on landing, aren't the easiest to cut. Because I mentioned the flat fill, the flop, how forgiving on the landing means they don't have that natural movement to them that I want when I'm trying to shape shots. So not the easiest bag for cuts, rolls, flops. Still able to do it. Like, again, if I said all the time, if you know how to roll and flop a bag or cut a bag, you can do it. It's just not the easiest. If you're an average to below average player, this is probably not the best bag for that. So I was able to throw some cuts with it, but and the cuts worked really effectively for getting around bags. But to do a cut collect, I struggle with that a little bit on this bag. Not a big deal. Just keep that in mind. So if you're throwing blockers up this bag, you don't want to get too crazy aggressive on your opponent's side. Keep them more to the middle, and then you can just come down with your last bag or whatever you want to, push through and take them both in without having to go after it too far. The fast side's plenty fast enough for pushing through blocks, pushing through multiple bags. I had no problem doing it. Most of the time with this bag, I'm pushing slow side. Unless I had the last bag, I want to make sure I push and follow through. I'll go slick side to make sure I do that, or if I'm pushing multiple bags. But honestly, this bag for me is, I talked about the versatility, but it's really a bag that I think is better suited for that hole runner, hole for hole style game. You're putting your 4 bags in, you're trying to outscore your opponent. That's where I think this bag really shines. And then when you need to throw a blocker up there, you need to play a dirty round, you have the ability with this bag to do that. And that's how I like to play these hybrid style bags. It's more of that hybrid game with putting 4 bags in most rounds, but occasional dirty round, occasional blocker, and I think it does really well with that. As I mentioned, you do have the ability to shape some shots with this, so cuts, rolls, and flops, they're an option. So if you play against an opponent who throws a lot of blockers, plays a dirty style game, you do have the ability to get around if you need to. Obviously, you can go through them, you can go over them with airmail, but you can get around. You can also play that get around game if you're not a great if you don't have a great cut or roll or flop, you can still play that get around game where there's a blocker there. I always say you step out, aim for the corner of their bag with your corner, hit it, and you're going to spin your bag around, push it out of the way. These do a great job because there's enough flop. They do a corner of just enough to spin around. So you do have that option to play that get around game. And with the flop you have, if you do go get around, all you gotta do is get that corner to dip in, spin, and pull that bag back in. So you do have the option to do that. It gives you some options for the get around. It gives you some options for those for if you're kind of that above average shot shaper with the cuts, rolls, and flops, you have that ability. But honestly, the hole for hole game is where this really shines and plays great, and the consistency of how the bag plays in all board conditions. So if you're playing in all-day tournaments or playing tournaments or events or leagues or wherever where conditions change, like a lot of times during the summertime in my league, we start in the evening where the sun's up, and as the sun starts to set, the board conditions will change drastically throughout that period. A bag like this plays pretty consistent, and you're not having to switch bags up for game to game. So all in all, I recommend the Eclipse. Like I said, once I got these bags broke in, they played exceptionally well. The issues I had with that fast side material really went away. So I would say if you do get a set, just give them time, break them in, be patient with them, don't judge them too soon. I think you'll find once they break in, they play really, really well. So go leads me into availability. Gnarly Bags has their website, gnarlybags.com, link down in the description for you guys. The 11s were $80 for a set, and I think it was like $9.50-ish or so shipping. So like $90 shipped to you, which is a great price for an ACL Pro Stamp bag. I do have a discount code down in the description of this video. It's one of the bag reps I've been working with through Gnarly Bags, and he shared with me his code to give to you guys, save you a little bit of money. So if you go purchase it, make sure you use that code to save some money on there. But all in all, $90 or so for a set of these bags, a great price. They're well worth that. It's on that kind of that lower end of price range for ACL Stamp bags. So definitely check them out. If you throw in the 11, I'd love to hear your feedback, what you like, what you don't like. Drop a comment down below and let me know. I thank you so much for your support, and I thank you for watching.